following is a reading of Volume 1 of the A.B.Cs of Communism by Nikolai Bukharin, E. Preobrazhensky, translated by P. Lavin, from 1921, published in Detroit by the Marxian Educational Society. I do apologize for the issues with audio quality. It is something that I am working on. I've just been quite busy lately. But in any event, let us get into it. So I'm going to ignore the preface in this one because it's particularly dated. It doesn't really apply. Well, it's not that it doesn't apply, but it references things from that time period that I don't think are particularly relevant. So I'm going to go right into the introduction, which is titled Part 1, Development and Decline of Capitalism. And it starts by asking, what is a program? Every party pursues a definite end. Be it a party of landlords or capitalists, be it a party of workers or peasants, the same thing holds. Every party must have its aims, otherwise it is not a party. If it is a party which represents the interests of landlords, it will pursue the aims of the landlords. How to maintain their ownership of the land, how to keep peasants in check, how to sell the grain of the owners at increased prices, how to obtain higher rents, and how to secure cheap agricultural workers. If it is a party of capitalists or manufacturers, it will likewise have its own ends in view, to get cheap labor, to bridle the factory workers, to discover ways by which goods can be sold at the highest possible price, and above all, to so arrange matters that the idea of establishing a new society will not occur to the workers, that they will believe that there have always been masters and that there always will be. This is the aim of the employer. It is evident that the workers and peasants must have a wholly different aim, because their interests are different. What is good for Russians is bad for Germans, which is quoted as a Russian proverb here in this case. This can be more truly rendered, what is good for workers is bad for landlords and capitalists. That means that the workers have one end in view, the capitalists another, and the landowners still another. Not every landlord, however, thinks of how he can, with the least exertion, override his peasants. Many of them drink uninterruptedly and do not even know what their managers are doing. So is it with the workers and peasants. There are some who say, "We will fight our way through this somehow. Why should we trouble? Our forefathers lived thus from time immemorial, so shall we live." Such people fail to understand their own interests. There are others, on the other hand, who consider the question, how are their interests best advanced? And they will organize themselves into a party. The whole working class, therefore, does not belong to the party, but its best and most energetic members do. These members lead the others. To the workers' party, i.e. the Bolsheviks, the best workers and peasants attach themselves. To the party of the landlords and capitalists, the cadets, the party of people's freedom, etc., the most energetic landlords, capitalists, and their servants, lawyers, professors, officers, etc. belong. Consequently, every party represents the most thoughtful members of its own class. Therefore, a landlord or capitalist who is in an organized party can fight workers better than one who is not. Similarly, organized workers can more successfully fight capitalists and landlords than those who are unorganized. The former have reflected upon the aims and the interests of the working class. They know how those interests can best be served, and they know the shortest way to their goals. All those aims which a party strives to realize while representing the interests of its class constitute a party program. In the program is therefore shown what a certain class aspires to. In the program of the Communist Party, it is consequently shown what the workers and poor peasants strive for. A program is a most important thing for a party. From a program, we can always ascertain whose interests are represented by the party to which the program belongs. The second section is titled, What was the nature of our old program? Our present program was adopted at the 8th Congress of the party at the end of March 1919. Until that time, we had no definite written program. There was only the old program, which was worked out at the 2nd Congress of the party in 1903. When this program was written, Bolsheviks and Mensheviks formed one party with one program. At that time, the working class first began to organize. Large works were few in number. It was still a disputed question whether the working class would grow much more numerous. The Narodniki, or the fathers of the present Socialist Revolutionary Party, believed that the working class could not be developed in Russia and that factories and workshops would not be multiplied. The Marxists and Social Democrats, as well as the future Bolsheviks, and also later the Mensheviks, maintained, on the other hand, that in Russia, as in all other lands, the working class would increase, and that it would form the principal revolutionary power. Evidence have now shown how the views of the Narodniki were wrong and those of the Social Democrats of the time were correct. But when the Social Democrats drew up their program at the Second Congress of the party, in the drawing up of which program Lenin as well as Plekhanov took part, the working class was not yet very powerful. Therefore, no one thought at that time that it would be possible to immediately proceed to the overthrow of the bourgeoisie. At that time we all agreed it would be well to break the back of Tsarism, to fight for the union of workers and peasants, to win an 8-hour workday, and to strike at the landlords whenever possible. No one thought of aiming at the immediate expropriation of the bourgeoisie from their factories and workshops by workers. This then was our old program as of the year 1903. Part 3 is entitled, Why Must We Have a New Program? From that time till the year of the Revolution, i.e. 1917, is a long time, and in that period conditions have altered very much. Great industry in Russia took a mighty stride forward, and with it advanced to the working class. As early as 1905, the working class revealed itself as a powerful force. At the time of the Second Revolution, it was clear that it could only succeed if the working class succeeded. The working class would not now be contented with what would have satisfied it in the year 1905. It was now so powerful that it demanded the unconditional taking over of the factories, workshops, workers' control, and the curbing of the capitalists. Since the foundation of the first program, internal conditions have fundamentally altered. Also, and still more importantly, external conditions had also changed. In 1905, quiet and peace reigned in the whole of Europe. In 1917, every thinking person could see that the World War, the World Revolution, would have its origin. Or rather, in the World War, the revolution would have its origin. In 1905, the Russian Revolution was followed merely by an insignificant movement of the Austrian workers and by revolutions in the backward countries of the East, in Persia, Turkey, and China. The Russian Revolution of 1917 was followed by revolutions not only in the East, but also in the West, where the working classes gathered under the flag of the downfall of capitalism. External and internal conditions are therefore wholly different from those of 1903. Consequently, it would be absurd for the Workers' Party to have the same one program for 1903 and 1917 to 1919. When the Mensheviks reproach us with having broken away from our old program, and therefore with having thrown over the teaching of Karl Marx, we reply that the teaching of Marx consists in this, that a program proceeds not from the inner consciousness, but must be created from the conditions of life. In winter, people wear furs. In summer, only a fool would do so, and similar in politics. Marx taught us to observe the conditions of life and to act accordingly. This does not mean that we must change our convictions, as a lady would change her gloves. The great aim of the working class is the realization of the communist order of society, and that aim is the permanent aim of the workers' movement. But it is evident that, according to the distance from the goal, the demands that it makes must be different. During the autocracy, the working class had to work in secret. Its party was prosecuted as a criminal party. Now the workers are in power, and their party is the ruling party. Only an unintelligent person can maintain that one and the same program can serve for 1903 and for our own times. Changes in the internal conditions of Russia and changes in the whole international situation have rendered necessary changes in our program. Thus brings the end of this recording in this section. We'll pick up in the next recording, still in the introduction, with the next section being the meaning of our program, which is on page 19.